It does leave him alone for a little bit of time, but you can just see how scared Edison and Hoyes are.
My older brother really wanted to play games, so my parents bought him a PlayStation 1. So I played a lot of games on PlayStation 1. Then my family got PCs and we started playing a game called Tibia. Both my 4 brothers, my sister and my mom and dad, we all played the same game. A friend on that game told my mom and my dad about a game called League of Legends. So my mom started playing it. Once she was making dinner, she started the game on a ball game and she didn't want to go AFK because she didn't want to get banned. So she made me play the game, and I remember playing Cho'Gath in a bot game as my first ever game. And since then, I got addicted to League, and now I earn money playing League of Legends. Yeah.
And Shockwave Nendo doesn't have that cyclone, but Deadly just drifting forward into the face of Godsend.
I think I'm a clown, but a good clown. I'm here to make everyone happy. I like to do things with my teams. I don't know, I just like to have fun. What's the point in doing something if you're not enjoying your company or what you're doing, right? So that's my number one thing I think I do. Apart from that, I'm very competitive. I like to win. I like to achieve high ranks on everything I play. Yeah, that's pretty much everything, right? That's me. I'm just fun and competitive, yeah.
Cyclone, but Deadly just drifting forward into the face of Godsend. Gets a massive chunk of damage onto Hoyes and snipes him out for the double kill.
Well, it's nice to hear from Deadly. I'm loving getting these insights from these players as well. I love the little extra that we're getting from them. And obviously Deadly had a rough game today, but obviously still think one of the best AD carries in our league, and I'm sure XL and Deadly will bounce back. Now let's move on to Tricked versus Barrage. Gulborg, I'm going to start with you. Tricked impressed in the early game, right?
Yeah, they definitely did. I feel like I can confidently say they brought up one of the best early game performances we've seen from a team. Granted, they had that Pantheon that they were able to play through, and I think they really brought in the element of surprise too by bringing that Pantheon to the mid lane while flexing the Azir up towards the top side. So not only are they extremely deadly in the early game, but they're also maniacs who made stuff like this work. And I feel like even though they have this really good early game that you really need to credit them for, I feel like they have some work to do in the mid game, because that's where it faltered towards Dusty.
Yeah, I definitely think they started to lose momentum a bit there, and you could definitely see Dusty made some good macro decisions. It slowed the pace down. It started to match their economy. Trick did manage to pull it through, but it was from a backdoor, and it was a bit touch and go at a moment. But ultimately, I think if we look at the early game, that was really convincing. If they can find similar momentum in this game, they should be in with a good chance of taking it. And I think it suits their players. I think Aaron and Soft in particular really thrive from being able to push their advantages in the early levels.
I think it's really easy to distill what it is that Trick did into early game aggression and all this stuff. But honestly, when it came to their mid-game prowess, everything that Tricks were doing was actually beautifully intelligent, to be honest. For example, they didn't unnecessarily group like we saw BETXL do, one of the top 4 touted teams. If they did do a grouping for Herald, for example, they had as many people as they needed on that. They didn't need their Sivir there, for example, but rather than just leave her under tower to get dove, they gave her all of the jungle camps on bot side, which is a nice adaptation you can do. You have a heavy ganking anti-farming jungler like Elise. These little things gave me a lot of confidence in Trick that I didn't really have before, even though I had a lot of respect, for example, for Aaron, their mid laner, who really did pop off that game. Curious to see what they do with the whole Azir thing, but I do think this team is very smart in ways that we're not really used to seeing at this level. Them and Dusty was a really good opening matchup to show this.
And this is where I think it becomes interesting too, because if we take a look at the game Barrage had against Fnatic Rising, they came extremely close to beating them out in the early game with their scaling composition with Yadran's Kassadin. I feel like you cannot underestimate this guy's Kassadin. Magic Felix did that. Magic Felix got killed by him. But I also think it's extremely interesting because now we're seeing a team like Trick who seemed like they're extremely happy to play the early game, and they're facing off against Barrage, who seems like a team that are extremely happy to play this scaling, slowly let the soup simmer and just wait for that to become a proper nice meal. That's the kind of thing they are going for. So I feel like it's going to be really interesting. But I did remember that we thought that we saw some nice picks coming in from Yadrin too and his match history too.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to this particular matchup as well, every time that we think of Eren, we must assume that there's going to be Pantheon bans at this point. I think very few teams will be able to get scrims that can practice against it. And then what's the next thing for Eren? Well, he's very famous for a very aggressive Azir. I think maybe they could even hold a 1-3-1 in that regard. And then what do we see coming from Handroad then? Playing the Kassadin in that scenario, he's probably not even going to get it. If he was to get it, he's ceding full early priority. It will be pedal to the metal again for them. So what does he move to? Well, maybe he moves to his Veigar. He has a series of picks that actually do hard counter that kind of pick. So maybe we'll see something like this pop out. And then how does this team look when they play that sort of style? It's completely different from what they've seen before. I'd ultimately assume it goes into an aggressive 1-3-1 from the side of Tricked versus a defensive 1-3-1 from the side of Barrage. But it's very interesting to see what happens with these two mid laners who are known for two very, very particular picks and what happens when either of them are countered or even targeted and removed.
I think that's why the draft will be so important, because the early game will dictate a lot of the sort of movements into the later stages. If Tricked can get a successful early game and get the strong mid game that they're able to utilize, assuming they don't get a strong answer from Barrage, they should just take this one-handedly. I think this does favor Tricked, and it really comes down to Barrage to be the ones who innovate and find a way to match this early pressure, because if they do manage to withstand that, if the mid game isn't too punishing, I think, as we've highlighted, the later stages are really where they come online.
But this is where I think is also getting interesting, because it's really just about already now, Barrage, are they able to keep an adaptation in their identity? Are they just going to stay this 1-3-1 team forever? Because I feel like if you want to perform and want to get up there and fight with the big dogs, you can't just stay a 1-3-1 team forever. You need to be able to be adaptable, and you need to be able to come in with some other counter picks. Like, for example, we just saw Dusty with the Poppy counter pick out of nowhere. I feel like if you're really adaptable towards that, you really help yourself towards getting better as a team too.
Yeah, I think the sort of the vibe that I'm getting from you three is that this is quite clearly a Tricked favored matchup just stylistically. But if Barrage can weather the storm, they do have those utility picks in the late game where they kind of really thrive on.
Yeah.
Look, guys, obviously we need to wait for draft, and that will be coming after a short break. So we'll see you very soon. We'll dive into that draft, and we'll get into our third match of the game. All right, guys, we've got a very... Oh, we're straight into pick and ban here, it looks like. So we don't have to... I was about to unleash veteran. I was told we had a slight delay, and you know when a delay happens, we just unleash the veteran. He goes for it. Look, they're ready to pick some bans here. It is going to be Ezreal, Locked Off, and Varus, followed. AD carries being targeted by both Tricked and Barrage.
About time we saw that Varus ban too. I feel like that's just been let through. I was just, where is that guy? But there he finally is on the red side ban. Haven't really been prioritized, and then some no-names for us too. Ezreal and Thresh. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw the Syndra. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw Yumi too. So yeah, all of those stuff we've talked about so many times now.
Yep, and then we may be looking at jungle first rotation. So Syndra ban, you never want to let that open. Maybe targeted picks. So Pantheon, for example, is something that maybe they will switch up on, in which case they're opening up either Aphelios or Kalista, maybe even opening a full trade. I think the last of Tricks will tell them what they do. If Tricks ban one of those two ADs, I think you can't risk opening Azir.
I'm curious to see if they're actually gonna blue side ban the Kassadin here, because we have seen Yatron before in time actually third pick his Kassadin and ban the two worst matchups he knows on the Kassadin and just bring it through. So that could be a possibility now with Yatron having his Kassadin left open, but we'll see how it pans out.
Name of the game as being mid-priority. Also, normally we see relatively mixed damage. If you wanted to do... Okay, banning that just basically invites a Kalista first pick. Obviously, you'd get your Azir or Pantheon, but it does invite Kalista. So it looks like they're... Okay, I highly doubt that that's going to be locked in the first pick. But that is the question that they're asking themselves, right? Like, do we go for the first pick Kalista, or do we go for Azir Pantheon secure now? They have two of those, so it should theoretically be a free Kalista, in which case I would just assume Barrage would want to respond with something like, okay, Set. So Kalista is still up, they're hovering Vayne for some reason. Set is still a very powerful pick, especially when paired with the Kalista. So there's somewhat pressure on you to pick the Kalista away here, rather than give them the potential for a Kalista Set bot lane, or have a Set flex maintaining itself on blue side for the rest of the draft. So a lot of things going on here, and they still have the ability to go either Azir or Pantheon. And there's Graves now, actually, for Flipper.
Yeah, I feel like an aspect of the set as well is the flexibility, and we obviously saw Trick sort of capitalize on that in their previous game. So they have the option to put a bot lane, but also Wazel pretty solid on that in the top side.
I really like that they're just giving Flipper that Graves immediately, because when Flipper played against Stan's Graves, he was like 5 levels down 20 minutes into the game. So he's just like, all right, I'm not going to get that experience again. I'm going to be the one taking matters into my own hand, and I'm going for the Graves now instead. Just open up the Kalista still if you want to go for it, and it's actually going to be the Shyvana. We have seen this both in topside, and we've seen it in jungle, actually. Actually, I don't think we've seen it here, but I saw it in the Danish League when I casted that yesterday, as a response to Graves, because you also want to be foul farming as much as the Graves too. It didn't really work, but it has been a response.
Okay, the Shyvana is interesting to me, because this indicates to me that they should try to secure Pantheon right now, or that they have other AD champions they feel they can do later on. Set Senna bot is an incredibly potent combination. Less so though with the last set of Senna nerfs. Oh my lord! Now this would be
can't believe this. We were literally just talking about this.
That's brilliant.
I mean, yeah, if they want to play into their scale and aspect, really strong against this front line. And the thing is, the Senna is just never really going to offer as much damage, and especially the more common recent Senna build where you go Grasp and Die and you build those tanky items, it's just going to play into the Kog'Maw, who you won't have the damage to cut through ultimately. They need to pick up a bit more reliable backline damage for Trick if they ever want to really challenge this, ever challenge Voxnate on this Kog'Maw.
There goes the Pantheon ban. Finally, Aaron not allowed to play that, especially because when you have a Kog'Maw, you're just identifying yourself as a scaling team immediately. So you don't want to be shot down in the early game, and with that, they just denied that from Aaron.
I mean, I really love the idea of going Juggermore when you've already seen double dive plus center composition from the team on the left. You'll be able to maintain the range. You'll be able to sustain the dive from them. It's a very potent pick here. Curious how it works out with the Graves, though. They are lacking heavy frontline, but you can lack heavy frontline if you are going Juggermore. Kog'Maw was essentially the frontline of those compositions. Everything around it was basically based on pill rather than full-on frontlining. Pantheon and Azir both banned from Aaron. You have to think he's planned for this, because otherwise it's a very curious set of mixed damage coming out of them, unless it is the Waze or Shyvana top, which it could be. So there are two flexes right now on the side of Tricked Esports plus the Senna. We really don't know what compositions we're going to be seeing. Interesting that the Vayne was banned here as well, given that Kog'Maw's already out. Do they think that's a flex into mid?
Potentially, or flex in the top. Does seem like a bit of a weird one, but maybe if this is something that they think, if they're putting the Shyvana top lane, that it's going to be a difficult matchup. I think Ornn makes a lot of sense. You were talking about the front line needed. It does mean they can put more pressure towards the bot side and essentially leave Dreedy to do his own thing in the top lane. And it is going to provide a lot of CC that can mitigate some of the dive coming out from Tricked, even if they opt into that more. And I think critically, it gives you counter pick in mid lane, which means that you can ensure that you're going to have priority, which is important, I feel, when you're playing towards bot.
Yeah, I think the biggest point is the priority that it opens up for the mid lane counter pick. I don't really think you need a front line with you are going the Juggernaut composition itself. Kog'Maw becomes the front line in that regard. The Ziggs we have already seen at least once. I don't know what's going bot right now. Ziggs plus Senna would be a strange combo to me, and it indicates that they have a lot of poke with Shyvana. That makes a lot of sense. So then Set's function in there would be acting as a Juggernaut. This could be Gangplank mid. It could be Ziggs mid. It could be Set mid. I honestly don't know what's going where right now on the left. Let's see how Barrage understand this, because they have to make a choice. If they go Kassadin and it's into a Gangplank on mid section, it's pretty bad for them. So what do they do here?
I feel like for me, it's probably going to be... Oh,
yeah.
We're talking about this.
Do it. Okay, well, that's a really nice pick that they've done here, because you already see the double dive coming out from Tricked Esports, so you already have a counter to it. It's pretty good. Kog'Maw is very well protected here. I love this composition actually now from Barrage. Every single time that Veigar is involved in draft phase, I guess it just goes really, really well. We need to see how well he sustains versus Set Shyvana, but the moment that it hits level 3, he becomes incredibly difficult for them to ever gank. Maybe they'll try to poke him out, but if they do, then they're not poking out the Kog'Maw, and the Kog'Maw has so much control around him, around these objectives. If they're ever first on, it's really free for them, and there isn't something like a Twisted Fate on the side of Trick to counter that. So if Barrage ever get a lead, I definitely put the game in their favor, but if Tricked get a lead, they can rotate with Gangplank and Ziggs around the map, and they can take towers so fast and just avoid any of these group situations. That's what Tricked want to do, that's what they did last time, and that's what they want to do here.
Well, Trick's composition is kind of also a poke pump at the same time, because they do have the Ziggs and do have Shyvana that we've seen go AP stylistically, so there is still room for that too, but they have to make some things work in the early game.
I think as well, there's a lot of global pressure coming out. They have 3 global ults there, so if they do find a situation like a flank from the Set, they can very easily layer that follow-up onto whichever target they're looking for, and it can just capitalize.
I shouldn't interrupt you guys. I was listening so intently throughout draft phase. You guys are always wonderful to listen to in draft, actually, and I'm sorry for almost interrupting both Gulborg and Dan there when they wanted to get their last words out. Now, so people that I won't have the chance to interrupt, as I will not be there. Troublelink and Hitbrain, take it away.
Thank you very much, Scoundrel. I got to rub me the wrong way, that was hilarious. Hello and welcome back to the caster desk. Trouble, let's have a little talk about this game, because we got the Juggernaut coming forward for Barrage. We actually did hit on the fact that Gulborg was talking about in the break. He was like, I really don't want to see Juggernaut come back. And we actually get to see it here.
I do really like it, actually, because we talked about how Barrage likes to play the very late game scaling compositions. That fits straight into their playstyle, you know. They've got their own right there who's going to be tanking everything. The Graves.
Oh, the walk
the
of shame. That's you.
It's okay. It was all fun.
Bless you.
Well, that kind of ties in with a 2. Bless you. You know, so it was like double pun.
I'm glad you got the joke there. Well done.
Hey, I'm just explaining for the people who didn't get it, so they do get it, and they can laugh as well. So back to Barrage, they've got the Veigar, who's mad scaling into the late game. They got the Juggernaut, which is the core of the entire composition.
Aaron's running him down though. Then Boxy has to flash. Oh yikes! Maybe not what you wanted there.
The dog, man. Come on. Come on. He's playing one of my favorite skins as well. This cannot be, but this is huge and crucial, because as much of a menace and a hyper carry Kog'Maw is in the late game, now he's very mobile and flashless down bot. So all eyes on Soph, who stylistically likes to play towards bot.
Oh, Aaron also just gets a pretty good start off onto Yadrin there. Going in for that face breaker combo. have a little talk about this mid lane matchup. How do you kind of foresee it going? He's got the Predator, so he wants to be able to move around the map and also just kind of close those gaps. I feel like we're kind of getting it answered out a little bit here as Aaron is getting chunked out in the mid lane. But how do we feel as time goes on? How do you feel about this Set versus Veigar matchup?
Well, basically, I'm a believer that Set doesn't necessarily lose to anyone. He's too much of a strong champion. He gets a huge shield as well. If he does manage to flash on you, especially on a Veigar who's very squishy, you can get ganks going. And we know that Soph and Aaron do like to play this sort of game style, especially in the early game. Try and get your jungle and your mid laner ahead as much as possible. But this is nevertheless another range 2 melee matchup. So at least, you know, Yadron can chill back, relax, stack his Q and play from a distance where he believes that he won't get flashed on.
Alrighty, well, Denboxney, he picked this pick and he's getting bullied for it. The shield does come through from Nightmares though, so he doesn't actually lose too much health.
I mean, you're gonna get bullied. There's a lot of poke coming in from the Senna and the Ziggs respectively. And if I'm not wrong, seeing the rune on the Senna, this is going to most likely be... I'm completely lost on my thought right here. Instead of going grass, you go with this and you're gonna go full armor pen. Or at least I'm expecting this Senna to go armor pen because you don't need the mallet. You have the slow build into your rooms and you can actually be yet another threat. So this Trick team is a multi-threat. Literally every single one of them is going to be pumping out tons of damage, including their support.
We do obviously have Dreedy who will be on that front line as the game goes on, so make it a little bit harder. But then every time we look bot lane, he's getting chunked out, he's getting bullied, but he is even in CS right now, which is good for him. You kind of expect them to go down a little bit just because of the amount of kind of lane pressure that Trick have for themselves here, but looks like Barrage aren't really giving up too much. And let's talk a little bit about Barrage last week because they went up versus Fnatic, and man, did they challenge them. The man on your screen right now, Yadrin on his Veigar right now. He was on the Kassadin, solo killed Magic Felix, and he had the game of his life on that champ.
I mean, he knew exactly where his champion spikes, right? And the second he did that, he realized that, okay, let's turn the lights back on and try to get something going. Unfortunately, sure, it wasn't a very dominant Fnatic. Oh boy. And Yadron did grab that opportunity to go all in onto Magic Felix and get the kill. But again, he's like on a comfort champion, the Veigar. He's playing that slow, calculated scaling game, and I'm not expecting him to go as aggressive with the solo kill, but this composition is not really created to do that. It's sort of like create the space around the Kog'Maw, so in the very late game when he has 3 items plus, he can carry the rest of the team.
Oh, poor Den.
He's holding on to the barrier, though.
He's holding on to the barrier. He's holding on to his life, let's be real here. He's getting really bullied. She was a little low on mana, so he doesn't have too many bouncing bombs, but look who's coming over. Aaron has the boots. He's popped the Predator. Good glitter lance though by Nightmares. Does mean he is going to get chased out. They will take some plates here. And remember, the thing about the Ziggs is he's very effective when it comes to taking the towers just to his satchel. So if you combine that with the Rift Herald, it's very easy to get yourself an early first turret blood with the Ziggs on your team.
With the rate that this is going down the bot lane, I don't even think they're going to actually need a Rift Herald to take the bot tower, Jake. And Soph sees this opportunity, of course. He has full priority, man advantage down the bot lane. You see that instantly Aaron is moving as well, sacrificing
oh,
his farm.
Flipper. Good slow, actually. They will take that dragon there. And Soph in the jungle, when you were chatting to me about this game prior to it, you were saying that Soph, you know, him on aggro junglers can be make or break. In this case, he's actually playing the Shyvana, so he's opted into a bit of scaling for himself, really. Not quite as aggressive, but very good at taking these early dragons. How are you feeling about the Shyvana pickup for Soph?
It's sort of something that we've been seeing in solo queue a lot, and I think it pisses a lot of us off once he goes Dragon Formers and throws the Q and then takes 60% of your HP in just one spell. And from what I'm seeing right here, going Dark Harvest as well, I'm expecting this Shyvana to go AP. They are lacking a little bit in the AP department as well, so that would be great for their mixed damage profile on the team. I'm really liking it. It's sort of like another farm pick to go against the Graves as well, who just wants to be in his jungle farming as well, getting scaled up, which is sort of the story for the entire Barrage composition right here. But with the Shyvana, you can also go aggressive, and we know that this is what Soph and Aaron like to do. You saw that when they were starting Dragon, Aaron completely left his wave to sort of take priority in the mid lane for his team. So you see that these guys will do anything to get that early game advantage.
Oh, Aaron actually getting caught out, slowed down, flashed onto by Flipper. The red smite has landed, and Aaron using the W to keep himself alive. But Yadrin finds first blood.
White flag raised right there from Yadran, and he's like, well, I'm not actually waiting to scale because this time it's Barrage flipping the switch and pulling in the very early game dive. Now, of course, Aaron did previously use his teleport, so he will be slow to lane, but thankfully, Soph will be there to soak up that experience. And that is great news for Yadran right here, because you can go back and start stacking on these mana items so you can repeatedly be in your lane without being pushed out of it and completely gaining priority through it, which then unlocks the Graves through the map.
This bot lane really is the thing of nightmares. Barrage trying to hold on to it as best as they can, but it is going lower and lower. Every little auto attack is a stage away from going down. Flipper gets caught out by Soph, but actually, maybe it's Soph who catches out Yadrin. They throw down the cannon barrage. They throw down everything. Soph will fall. Yadrin gets his second kill, but they trade out 1-for-1. Aaron doesn't get the assist gold, crucially there, though.
Yeah, and that's another kill that's going to the Veigar. So you're gonna start suffering with this. Veigar gets very beefy and scaled up that early into the game with so much fun. I don't know what Soph was trying to do there, because you know the Veigar is resetting, so he's going to be walking back to lane. I think Soph realized, okay, I've walked too far, but then you can Dragon out. He opts to Dragon in the fight and trade 1-for-1, which ultimately I think was a better trade for the side of Barrage, as Yadran on the Veigar is the one that cashes it in.
Yeah, quite happy for him. We'll see how much additional AP he's got. It's pretty early in the game, though, so it won't be too much at the moment. He's got 167, so he's got 67 AP extra, I believe. No, I can't remember how much he's got. It's not that much. He's got 67 stacks. They are looking for a play here onto a Q. Will force this flash out in the bot lane. Mega Inferno Bomb connects. A good shield will at least do a bit to negate some of that onto Demvoxney. Has got the Vamp Scepter, so he's actually able to heal up fairly effectively at this point.
And as you can see, because the bot lane of Barrage has been pushed back, Soph gets yet another call to get down towards that bot lane. What do you know? Soph loves playing towards Achu. Previously, they have played together as well. It was very bot favored back then, and now he loves doing the same thing for his ADC. So we're gonna see a lot of bot action into this game, as Barrage are trying to keep their bot lane alive, and Trick are trying to attack the bot lane that's trying to stay alive.
I mean, I have to give props to Demvoxney. He's had a very heavily focused poked lane, but he's not that far behind. It's 10th CS at the moment. 9 minutes versus a Ziggs center. You really thought Den would be a lot further behind, and looks like this might be changing up here. The teleport's coming in, and Chu's looking for that satchel to bop Demvoxney away. He has to flash. He will take a bit of poke. That was a pretty good opening there from the side of Trick. May just send Demvoxney back to lane, and this could cost them the dragon. Flipper, on the other hand, though, he's going to quickly move over and try and take this Rift Herald for his team. They recognize that bot lane's probably lost at this point. Let's invest in getting ourselves a Rift Herald and maybe claw back some of these plates.
Oh, they have to trade right here. As you can see, Wazer is already backing off of his tower, because it feels like they're just going to pop Shelly up top and just completely take the tower at this point with the Rift Herald. Botlane's going to go down with the satchel. So all in all, it was a great trade and an insane TP from Achu to push the Kog'Maw completely out of lane. And now this Kog'Maw is not going to feel safe to farm anywhere, especially not in the bot lane, because unless you have a tower near you, you can't move forward. And now that you're summonerless, even more so.
And actually, we haven't really talked too much about this top lane. When we went up there just to see the Herald get placed down, it was already chipped down fairly heavily by Dreedy. His Ornn has been doing very, very well into Wazor. Gets the second charge out as well here. So Dreedy having a good game on the Ornn right now. He's got himself a pretty significant CS lead. Most CS in the game as it is.
I mean, Ornn is the answer to pretty much everything, right? He's, like I said, he doesn't necessarily lose to anything. And if you can get to abuse some matchups like here on the Gangplank, you pretty much will. Of course, I feel like they're pretty much even, and Wazor is sort of playing a little bit more laid back due to the fact that Trick is playing so bot heavy with their ganks that somebody has to stay safe. So it was a great read by him to know that they're taking Rift Herald and they're going to attack top to sort of back off and not endanger himself.
Yeah, Johnny's going to try and defend this mid lane. He has pretty decent wave clear for himself. He does want to go to base. You can see I think he's sitting on his Hextech Hosepipe at this point, so he really wants to go for it. Aaron's going for a play, though, onto Denvoxney. It's going to land himself a big haymaker. Rest of the team are looking to turn it back around. The Cannon Barrage comes down, and that's going to be the showstopper. Denvoxney probably will die to this Raw hit. Is able to just about live, but Flipper, he's going to get picked off as PlayStation secures the kill for himself. And now Nightmares has to be careful. The railgun from downtown will pick up a double kill.
Oh, no! The Lulu was so close. Ultimate available, heal available, flash available. Everything was up and running, but he just couldn't quite get there. He would have to waste flash to ultimate his ADC. And I was just about to say, I think Denvoxney has survived way too many times, but I would have thought like I jinxed it, but he died anyway, so now I'm allowed to say it without jinxing it. So Eren again playing very aggressive like we're used to him doing on a side lane, and then Soph really thinks he's just gonna get that kill right there, but Barrier ends up saving them all. And then the snipe from PlayStation is the one that seals the deal for the dog.
All right, well, he's still pretty far behind as it goes, though. Well, obviously the fact that Chumash gets so many plates and first turret blood in the bot lane. He's got himself the Ludens Echo finished up, and now they're looking for a play here. Yadzin's going to throw the stun down, and the Hextech Hosepipe is able to disengage. Didn't burn his flash. Nightmares did, though.
And it's very scary. Every time you see Soph going into dragon form, the whole ground is quaking because that...
Oh, that's a good call of the Forge God. They just completely squash Eren. Dreedy with a fantastic roam down, able to find the kill for the side of Barrage. This is the Barrage we saw in last week's game, challenging Fnatic.
I'm loving the punish right here. Honestly, like, step up. You know that Eren had just blown his flash on that trade. Punish him right in. Dreedy, that is not losing much. He was actually going to back to base to reset, and now on the way up his top lane as well. So he was able to get that kill. Goes again into the hands of Yadron in the mid lane, the guy who did again solo kill Magic Felix. And if they want to have any hopes of him killing more people in Tricked, this time they need to give them these kills. Of course, would much better to give them to your Juggernaut, but you have to keep him alive and well on the side lane at this point. He has to farm up. He needs to reach at least a 2 to 3 item power spike. And when this is done, I think you will see Barrage more trying to force fights.
Well, the gold lead actually still pretty close, all things considered here. A lot of that gold, as you can see on your screen, is sitting in Yadrin for Barrage, so it's kind of keeping them relevant here on this Veigar. 2k up over Eren.
I mean, you don't
bot
care
lane.
that much falling behind onto the set because you're always going to be that very dangerous.
Sneeze and you'll miss it. They throw the ultimate onto Yadrin to keep him alive, and now Flipper actually making his way down. They're going to flash, go forward, put the slow, put the damage in, gets himself a face breaker off, but Flipper secures himself the kill, the collateral damage. Holy hell, that's a lot of damage from Soph, though. Those roars are hurting.
Oh, they might look for more right here.
They can chunk, though. Soph could probably get one more roar off. Try and chunk another member. Isn't going to find it that time, but damn, Soph does damage.
forget about the Juggernaut. It's all about the Yadron game right here. He's on the Vega. He got these 2 early kills. He's been bullying Aaron around. And most importantly, when the carry from the opponent team is an AP carry, in this case, Ziggs.
Watch for Soph. He's coming over. He's going to steal the dragon. Soph gets out scot-free as well. Dreedy going to send the Ram in the right direction to pick the kill up. And now Yadrin looking to chase down to Achu. Achu's caught in the pit, caught in the wall as Flipper will secure the kill. Aaron now charging in forwards. They almost take the mid lane turret. It will survive with a sliver of health. Soph securing the dragon for the side of Tricked. They are now 1 away from Mountain Soul.
Oof, and that's way too early in the game to be talking about Mountain Soul, because it is so important to have this huge shield later on into this fight against such a hyper carry team. And again, I wasn't even almost done with my phrase. I said 2 words, and the Vega literally dispatches onto the Ziggs. Of course, the flash forward to catch the set as well. And that is such great play we're seeing right now from Yadran. He controls his cages. That is very unfortunate that you have to commit to a 50-50 right here because both the junglers are level 10. But yeah, it's been going great for Barrage. They have the scaling team, and they are the ones that are getting the kills, getting further and further into that position where they have their item power spikes, and they want to be picking up these fights.
All right, well, the Blade of the Ruined King now finished up onto Denvoxney. He's still a long way away from becoming that hyper carry Cogmore, but looks like he just wants to hold the wave here for the moment. You have to actually hit the minion if you want to kill it, Den. But for now, it's an 8k gold lead over to Barrage. Like we said before, that most of that gold is sitting on Yadrin right now on the Vega, but I think they're okay with where it is. Because now, Riftail spawned back up, and it looks like for the side of Trick, they want to go for this. They want to try and answer out and crack this mid lane open. And a Herald should just be enough to do that.
Well, here, of course, it's first come, first served. Whoever has the vision in that river will have access to the Rift Herald as well. Luckily for Tricked, it is them, because they're the ones that are being constantly challenged in these fights. So they need something to break them up open and not allow more farming to go down. Push these carries from Barrage to push away from the towers.
Yadrin, he actually gets caught out. What a wombo combo. She secures the kill. They've got that Rift Herald as well, but that's going to be a big showstopper. Flipper has to flash away. Collateral damage to buy some space as well. That tower is so low. It will just fall down, and now they can summon the Herald of the mid lane and crack a tier 2. Denvoxney, he's still trying to farm, keep himself relevant as Flipper's getting junked out by all of the pokes. They summon the Rift Herald, but it may not even get his charge off. They may just crack an inhibitor here.
Oh, they might very well do. The Cogmo is coming through, but he just has a Blade of the Ruined King. They could potentially look for a divert here, but because they don't have the Dragon Form onto Soph anymore, they'll be fine. They take 2 towers, they take 2 kills, and a book on that inhibitor tower. That was a great turnaround. That's exactly what I was talking about when I said the second they take the towers, the carries will no longer be able to push through to try and get that farm. Yadran overextends just a tiny bit and gets instantly punished. Imagine them trying to push the wave and farm further, then they are in risk of being caught.
It felt to me like Yadran on the Vega has been able to kind of put the brakes on a little bit here for Barrage. Right up until that Rift Herald play went down, and then suddenly Trick just got their foot on the gas and they slammed it forward. The game just picked up such a massive amount of pace, and Barrage, that's the last thing they wanted. You saw while all that Rift Herald play was going down, while the picks were happening mid lane, Denvoxney was off in the top lane trying to get some farm onto his Cogmore. He just wants to stay relevant, wants to be, well, he's not even relevant yet. He wants to become relevant, but he's still quite a ways away from actually being able to be a threat. And that was not what Tricks wanted. They recognized that their opening was in the mid lane. They recognized that with that tower already low, the fact they have a Ziggs and a Rift Herald, they were going to be able to smash through these turrets, and that's exactly what they were able to do. Now, at least for Barrage, they're able to defend that mid inhibitor turret. I felt like maybe there was an opportunity to overstay, but it could have been greedy, and it could have actually been what Barrage needed to kind of get some kills onto Cogmore. So I think it was smart for Trick to actually back off there. But now the pace has been put up, and it's a 1,000 gold lead over the Trick. So what can Barrage do? What do they need to do to kind of put the stalls on this game?
I think they just need to sort of slow it down again. I think vision is going to mean everything right here, because the second one of them gets caught, I think it's going to be lights out for them. They have way too many squishy champions, way too many immobile champions to be getting caught. And right now, they've lost way too many valuable towers in the mid lane that will not allow them to push forward for these minion waves to be cleared. That does threaten Baron for the side of Tricked.
You were hitting on with PlayStation obviously going the Glacial Augment rune. Odds are we were going to see this lethality build come through from Stennis. Something we haven't really seen as much recently. Is going to be the pickup for PlayStation. It's got that Umbral Glaive now finished up, so then Voxney has to be very careful because a lot of additional damage will go into him. A lot of burst damage as well when you've got like the PlayStation Achu combo.
You see how they have to pull Dreedy around to keep them safe? Just only so the Kog'Maw can push out the wave and get some farm. But what that has in result, you see 5 people right now that are farming the exact same wave, sharing experience, sharing gold. The Kog'Maw will never be able to get where he wants to. Sniped.
Yajing is half health by a Mega Inferno Bomb. That's just an Oblivion Orb and Luden's Echo doing that. We got 11 seconds until this Mountain Drake spots up, and now they're looking for a Chew here. That satchel was just gorgeous by a Chew. He does get the knock up, and they're looking for the kill onto him. Then Voxney landed himself the snipe, and now Dreedy in the middle of the team, going very, very low, but in comes Aaron. He's on the hunt. He's looking for the kill. The slow goes down, and Den Voxney going to put that damage in as they find a double kill on to the Gangplank, but that is going to be the pullback. Aaron secures himself the kill. Yadrin gets popped by Soft, and Nightmares is the only one standing. This will be Mountain Soul over to Trick.
And you said it before. You said that Tricked has just picked up the pace of this game, and that's something that Barrage does not really want to do. And you see right here, the Barrage put themselves in a situation where they're all bounced up. Atu gets a beautiful ult on them, and then they're like, sure, now contest us because we're just gonna engage onto you. And they're not only gonna kill you, they're not only gonna take Mountain Soul, they're also going for that Baron.
It looks like they are going to be a little spooked by the Baron play, however. Do step away with the likes of Yadrin and Voxney coming up. The last thing you want to be doing is stuck inside the pit with your Magic Resist getting shredded. But look at that satchel onto Dreedy. It just denied him getting that ultimate off. And then Dreedy had to overcommit and flash under the tower to find the kill.
Honestly, I'm giving major props to Wazer here. The place that the Cannon Barrage was actually put down split the entire fight. When he puts down that Cannon Barrage, 2 carries from Barrage go towards the left side and 2 carries from Barrage go towards the right side. That doesn't allow them to have the perfect team fight that they want, where they're all bunched up and they can protect the Kog'Maw. So major props to the Trick top lane right here for splitting up the fight like this and allowing his teammates to make these crucial picks that have now put them one step closer to the win. Mountain Soul and getting these shields and resistances is so hard to break.
And interestingly enough, actually, watching that replay, I didn't realize Nightmares ulted Dreedy. So Den Voxney didn't have the Wild Growth. I know he got jumped on, but maybe he could have bought some space and put some damage out. Absolutely crazy stuff there. And Trick do feel very much in control of this game. I think Barrage did a good job of keeping themselves relevant in the early game, considering how they wanted to play around a scaling AD carry. But Trick just recognized when they were able to pick the pace up. And since then, this pace has been entirely dictated by Trick in this game.
Yeah, and like we mentioned before, they have a whole team that is full of threats, people who can do damage, people who can be on the side lane, whether that's Aaron or Wazer. It doesn't matter which one of the two it is. It doesn't matter because they even flip around champions like the Azir last time. So I'm really loving the way how they can adapt from the start of the game to the middle of the game to the late game and sort of swap out what their end goal is. And right
Flipper.
now,
Oh, Flipper, that is not where you want to be. He does it. He's actually able to dash away from the satchel, which
Thanks for the
saves his
save.
life. That was very, very close for him. Maybe closer than he wanted it to be. That ward down in the pit will just get cleared out by PlayStation. The Umbral Glaive mates taking out wards so much easier. Use the Scries to spot them out, Flipper, making his way down. He's still chunked. He hasn't had a chance to heal up, and Eren getting zoned away by Yadrin here. 8k on to that Baron as well. He's all coming in on the flank. They can see him though because of that pink ward. He's going to take a lot of damage in the Mega Inferno bomb.
My God.
The boot as soft secures the kill. The Baron gets reset, but that's Barrage's jungler down, and this should just be back to business here for the side of Trick.
Yeah, that's a little bit of communication. Dreedy's all the way down bot, and Felipe has to be the one to walk in. But if you're the one to walk in, Trick is really quick on the trigger to try and take you down for no smite steal.
Well, they're going in. Yadrin gets absolutely chunked out of the fight. Dreedy just not playing with his team. It's Denvoxney looking for something onto Eren. Baron's going to get secured. Denvoxney's just going to have to run like the wind. It just felt like Dreedy was not on the same page with his team there at all.
You will see he started back in, and then he started TPing back to base, and then he wanted to enter the fight when the fight was already done because Flipper was down. There was no point in hoping for a steal right there, especially after Yadrin gets chunked down to 1 HP as well. The map has been split open. The second these towers went down, Barrage had to literally barricade themselves back into the base and hope that they're going to be allowed to turtle as much as they can until there is their power spikes. Of course, Tricked, they're not going to fall for this. They're going to hit you straight away. Take the fight right here. Flipper overextends, instantly punished, smite down. They go back to Baron. They finish the job.
All right, well, 26 minutes on the clock. The gold lead sitting in favor of Tricked right now. You can see it's been pretty heavily favored Tricked as we move later into this game, but there were moments where Barrage were ahead. There were moments where Yadrin on this Veigar was able to do so much work and just buy some space for the side of Barrage, but unfortunately for them, it hasn't really come into fruition. It hasn't really been able to open up any space for the side of Denvoxney as he is just getting completely bullied this game. Dreedy trying his best to deal with Wazor underneath the tower, but Wazor's just ignoring him. Loses half his health, and then just orange. He's fine.
It's a gangplank. He's not going anywhere. I think he's hit his 2 out and power spike as well. He's got Trinity and Essence 3, but he is not going anywhere, especially now that he has 2 waves of Baron that minions as well. And Dreedy is needed to play frontline for his team because the Kog'Maw is just not simply strong enough yet.
All right, well, Dreedy looking to find something onto Wazor. They're going for like a desperation play here, but then the wave pushes in mid lane and they have to back away. This tower's already low, and Dreedy's just getting soloed by Wazor underneath the tower. Wazor almost finds the kill. Is unable to do so. The Call of the Forge Squad comes out, and Flipper gets chunked by the Dragon's Breath. Denvoxney unable to even walk forwards here. He can't step up. That's going to be a big roar. Nightmares is now the one getting chunked, and Denvoxney, he's just going to die here. I don't think he has anywhere to go. They have to use the Wild Growth onto him, but Wazor's just chunking him down.
Well,
what can Barrage do? Their base is just crumbling before them.
I don't think there's much they can do. I think they just have to survive this push and then recollect themselves, buy whatever they can with all the minions running into their base. It's going to be much easier for them to farm, but with all the double super minions coming in, if they take all 3 inhibitors, it's not going to be as easy to get out of the base.
Elder. Trick to getting Elder right now. Soph is just going to be able to solo it because he's a Shyvana. The railgun's thrown down. Dreedy almost dies to the bouncing bomb. Soph continues to go onto the dragon. He knows he can get this. Barrage, I just don't see their way back in here. The Kog'Maw wasn't able to scale. Yadrin wasn't able to hold mid long enough.
I just want to remind the fact that when this Ziggs goes back, he's gonna most likely have yet another item in his pocket. Last time he used his Mega Inferno Bomb, it took Yadrin down to 35% HP. I'm pretty sure that now he's going to be dealing even more damage, which means that we could potentially see one of these wow moments where the Mega Inferno Bomb drops and then the Elder does the rest for you.
Normally at this point in the game, I say this is where a team needs to just commit to the fight. But you can't win that fight That bomb did, that barrel did so much damage to Nightmares. The Cannon Barrage is going to go in. The Mega Inferno Bomb doesn't quite find its mark, but they do get some damage out of the Flipper. Yadrin has to jump away. Then Boxney inside the Cannon Barrage, taking a lot of damage. Barrage have to go heal up and try and restart this fight. Yadrin gets poked out by the Dragon's Breath. Here comes the Call of the Forge God. Barrage looking for their opening. Achu's not even going to get knocked up as he executes Yadrin with the Gift of the Elder. Barrage now sent packing back towards their fountain, back to safety. Denboxy's trying to put the damage into Eren, but he just doesn't have enough to work with right yet. He just has a Might of the Ruined King and that Rage Blade. His base is crumbling. His damage is too low. Wazor's on a killing spree. The Nexus is left open, and Bulldog unable to find anything. Sorry, Barrage unable to find anything. They will fall down as Trick take down the win.
Wait, they're still trying. They're still trying. There's no hope. Only the Lulu is alive. But yeah, that was a pretty much tricked game. I think it all came down to Yadron doing that one tiny little misstep. He was 4-0. Everything was going great. He was able to slow down the set wherever he was going. They were picking him off whenever they wanted. They had great ganks, great control of the game. He oversteps one time, and that was the turning point for the side of Trick. They put down the Rift Herald, they take control of the entire mid lane, and then it was so hard for any carry from the side of Barrage to step forward and try to push the wave, try to get some farm, try to get the ball rolling to the point where they have the item breakpoints and they want to fight themselves. That combined with the fact how Wazer played so well with the ultimates, with the Gangplank. I was a little bit critical of him on the Azir last week, but oh boy, did he show up on the Gangplank.
It was a beautiful read by Trick, to be honest. Like you said, in that mid lane, just a really, really solid read. And Barrage, they did a good job to hold on as long as they did in that kind of early game where maybe they probably shouldn't have had as many advantages.
Yeah.
That maybe been a few errors down to Trick to also just trying to kind of shut down Yadrin on his Veigar. But that one opening, like you said, was just what blew the game open in favor of Trick. And with that, they were able to get themselves their second win here in the NLC. Now, guys, we're going to cut to a quick break. And when we're back at the analyst desk, we'll break that down. And we have an interview, so don't go anywhere. See you after the break.
If you wanna find love, then you gotta have faith. The world is on your side. The world is on your side. If you wanna find love, then you got to have faith.
Welcome back, guys. That is Tricked getting the win there over Barrage. But I mean, honestly, I genuinely thought Barrage got off to a great start here, veteran.
Yeah, no, 100%. Especially mid-jungle seemed to work really, really well together. The problem is that they weren't able to transfer the massive leads that they got in mid-section, admittedly partly because Trix went a bit too ham at points, this being an example, into their side lanes. Their bot lane was getting heavily pelted. They know that their Kog'Maw is going to be a major win condition for them. Even the Ornn is going to become a win condition for them, and they can also try to deny Gangplank, though that would obviously be a lot harder. They got a lot done in mid-section, but ultimately they had to play very reactive towards bot side, and Tricked had the upper hand in that regard. Even though Eren was heavily pressured, but in the 2v2 midsection, he still found solo roams towards bot side so much and burned summoners every single time, or denied creeps, or even set up fights without fail. So even though their mid jungle was working really, really well, we didn't see them transition it anywhere. They had the opposite problem to BTXL, basically.
Yeah, and I think going further beyond that, what is it specifically about Barrage where they ended up losing this one here? Or like, what did they really sort of let go of? Because it genuinely felt like they were in control for quite a long time here.
Well, I felt one factor was the adaptation in the draft, which I thought was really intelligent from Tricked. So initially we were seeing these picks like the Set coming out, the Shyvana, and we see the Kog'Maw and we think, you know, these are picks to try and answer the Kog'Maw, looking to dive, looking to apply pressure in that regard. And you saw a lot of effort from Barrage to try and respond to that. They had the Veigar and the Ornn, which can obviously provide a lot of CC and protection, but really just Tricked opened themselves up to transition to this more poke-based comp. They went the Ziggs and the Lethality center. We're normally seeing the more tanky grasp center coming out. This was a Lethality one for more damage. We saw the Ziggs, we saw the Shyvana, which was going AP, and it just felt like they didn't have the tools to deal with that. They were outranged, and then whenever they try to set up for an objective for a team fight, it would just be like shooting fish in a barrel, and they would take so much poke, there wasn't really much they could do.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of talk about the drafts. Obviously, there were two very spicy drafts that came out, something that we don't see too often at this level of competition either. You know, I think a lot of you were hyped about the sort of the Kog'Maw coming in here, but didn't quite work out. And to talk me through that game, I actually have Vaisal ready to chat to me. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yeah, I can.
Hi, nice to meet you, mate, and congratulations on the win, of course. You guys have definitely been surprising and continuing to perform well in the NLC so far. First question, and this is something that's a bit more, I guess, a philosophical look. Do you think you guys are underrated? Because a lot of people are talking about the top 4 teams right now. Do you think that people are maybe underrating Tricked a little bit?
I think we're being heavily underrated right now. I feel like just watching from the games previously, I don't think the other teams have shown a very good level in general. So I think we're definitely top 2 teams right now in the whole NLC. So happy to show it in the future games.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. You guys have definitely looked strong and obviously got off to a great start so far. So in regards to that game, when the Shyvana came out, is this something that you are quite confident going into a Graves, for instance? What was the theory behind the Shyvana pick for you guys?
Yeah, Shyvana does pretty well into Graves. She matches his farming clear, and then later on in the game, she does very well into Graves in team fights, and then with the poke coming in, Graves can't really handle it, and she can also match Graves on his early game ganks and can contest the big objectives.
Yeah, of course. And something that we also noticed this time round is that your mid game was a lot better. Your decision making was better, and you sort of got a good grip on the game this time round. Is that something that, when reflecting on your game last week, that you guys came together and had a look at and worked on?
Yeah, that was our biggest point that we were looking to improve. So I'm happy that we could show improvement today. And then our early game was a bit shaky instead, but we're happy to test limits.
And something else that has also been interesting to me is just showing the flexibility between you and Eren, between top and mid. That feels like it's a big tool for your team, especially. And is this something that you knew about going into this game? Or is that something that you and Eren have worked on together in terms of having those champions that you can both play?
I mean, I think it's more that we're a bit lucky that we both like to play new champs and try what champ works well, and then we don't have a problem to like just play a champ that we maybe have 1 or 2 games on.
Yeah.
And that makes drafting very easy for us.
I mean, you guys obviously had it's one of the, again, creative drafts that we've seen in the NLC, and you obviously played it incredibly well. Honest, thank you for joining me, Wezo. I wish you all the luck. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Tricks progress in the NLC. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
All right, guys, I'm gonna before we dive into discussion there, I'm gonna cut us off because we're going to a very quick break, but we will talk more a little bit about what Wezo said before we dive into the next game when we're back.